Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm continuing my project with 3D. As you can see that I'm redoing everything right now. This is mainly because I realized something that when I was trying to do the rendering using the software called 5D render, I realized that it didn't have all the materials that I needed to import so that salon would look like a salon, like all the furniture or any other equipment that I needed. So I had to redo the whole design, so I had to do it all over again. And this time I also made sure that I was using all the colors uh, separately and in sequence. This way I had a lot more options for coloring and rendering. Yep, that's what it is. So this is me just all during the whole coloring thing. I also, before this video started, I honestly had to redesign the whole thing just because I wasn't completely satisfied with how it looked. The majority of it was just the main entrance reception area that you can see at the beginning of the video. It's because I don't know why, but all the lines in the AutoCAD files are a little more jagged, so each line didn't align together, which made everything a lot more complicated. So as you can see here, I'm just coloring everything again so that when I import it into the 5D render software for actual visually rendering it, it will be a lot more easier. Every time I move the camera to the side, I'm just making sure that I have all the walls covered as that I want in the same color that I need or the material that I need later on. Uh, Even though in the video you won't be able to see much of the difference because it was hard for me to see the different of shades. So I'm just making sure that every time I change the color, I always look again at which color I've selected. As you can see in the paint box that I have, each uh, each color patch has its own number. So I had to keep going back and forth because I couldn't actually see the difference in color on hand. So I just had to keep measuring. I had to keep on looking at which color I have selected. So when I render it, import it on the other software, it would be different and not at the same color patch. As you can see here, what I'm talking about, that each color looks like it's the same one. Even if I change the color, it basically kind of looks like the same from different angles. So that's why I had to keep on making sure that I have selected the right color that I want, so they are separate and not just one color. And when imported, it would be if I put the material on one wall or one area, it would affect every other area that has the same color. And I also realized next time whenever I'm doing a project or doing any designing, I won't be using as many circles or curves as I have done in this, because they are just a pain to design. And I also realized that it would be very hard for it to be constructed as well, because we don't have circle walls. We can have circle walls, but it will be jagged and will be thicker. And the way I've designed these walls is mainly they are 4.5 inch, I think, in thickness, which is mainly used constructed using drywall. So it would be very hard to construct or make these walls using drywall as in curves. You can do it in bricks, it's much more easier, but using drywall is much more harder. It's gonna waste material, and you have to cut the panels into smaller sizes just to make the curved structure of it. And over here, this is just me importing all materials and the furniture that I need, because SketchUp is one of the best that I know of, other than Maya and Lumen and other softwares that also have materials and furniture. SketchUp is one of the easiest one to use that I have the access to at currently, which is also free. So that was a lot more easier. This is one of the main reasons why I had to redesign and go back to the beginning and color everything again. As you can see, it takes quite some time for it to be imported, and if the materials were high end or very highly defined, it's gonna take a load on my computer. As you can see here in this folder, I have like a ton of materials saved, all the models or any other material that I would need to make the 3D render a bit more realistic. And SketchUp Warehouse has the website that they have, the official website that they have. It's called SketchUp Warehouse. It has a ton of models, any kind of model they have. They have products, actual products, the designs, the schematics. Almost everything is identical and made into scale, which is so much easier. And over here I'm just checking which area is what, and so which one is the massage area, where is the facial area, which is the waxing area. I'm just making sure that I'm gonna be putting the models that I need to their exact positions or where they are supposed to be located. One thing to note is, as the more you increase your material inside the file, the more heavier it's gonna get, and it's gonna take a lot more processing power for your computer to make it work, and for SketchUp to actually run smoothly. During my time when I was trying to import a lot more heavier files later on, it crashed on me a bunch of times. I didn't show it crashing and me trying to relaunch the whole software because it takes time and it's kind of heavy, so I just recorded it and cut it out. But just keep that in mind as you increase the materials and the models in your files that you are working on. Just keep making sure that you save it, otherwise it crashes, and sometimes it doesn't auto save properly or save how much work you have done, and you have to keep do all of this again, and it kind of gets frustrating. One more thing that you should do is always have an extra file or extra model that you material that you need. It just helps you re-visualize everything, and sometimes the model that you have saved up, and when you open it, it doesn't really match the project that you're doing, so it's better to just import a bunch of extra material or extra kind of furniture. It's very helpful, and it makes working a lot more easier, and to adjust it very easy. Over here I thought that I would make the top of the area a little more open so you could put on any extra stuff that you had, but later on I realized that these lockers that I have right now are too big, so I went with these green ones which were a lot more easier for the staff, which has a ton more area, and I can just increase it or decrease it depending on the spaces. And at the background I'm just closing all the extra stuff that I have, because each model that you open can makes working on the computer a little more harder, especially on mine because it's not that high end grade, and I'm kind of mainly working through a laptop, not an actual PC. A PC would be a lot more easier. I could build it up, make it more heavier or durable, but with laptop I am kind of limited with what I can do, but it gets my job done, and I'm still learning, so it's better right now. As you can see, I have a ton of models for each of the things that I need, just to make sure that it looks good and it looks more professional, because not everybody will use the same model that you need or model that you have, which with each project it's different, and you have to kind of adjust with it. Here I moved the shelf that I had for the other area, because at first I thought that was I could use this covered shelf thing for wax and other area, but then I found this model which looked a lot more better. Even though it's for different purpose, I can just show that this is where the waxing material would be and easier to access. And for massage area you could have the shelf, which you could have different kind of oils and essences, and the odor that they use, the perfume, the oils that they use to make the massage area more comfortable. That's why I switched the models over here. And over here I realized I had to construct a counter for the stuff that I did it myself, because I couldn't actually find the exact model that I needed, so it was better just to design it myself. As you can see, I'm just making a little bit drawers for the stuff. Originally I had planned to make the counters and the drawers and cubbies at the sides so they would be separate, but later on, as you will see, when I tried to put the fridge in the kitchen for the staff for their lunches or whatever they needed, it was being blocked by the fridge, so I just moved the whole area to the side and left the left side of the counter as open space where they could just put in any other stuff without any doors or anything. So they had open area for their any material that they needed. Then they had cupboards with slots, and then they had drawers, which made a little bit more sense for me. See, as you can see, it was clashing, so I realized there's a bunch of extra space in the middle, so just move the cupboard, the open area to the side. I closed that area out and just moved all the cupboards on this side, which made it a little more easier for me. At first I thought about just leaving it as closed, but then I realized that it would be a waste of space, so rather than leaving it closed, I could just move it at the back and just create an extra space. Over here I realized that the reception desk that I designed was a little too big. Like the top of the desk was a little too big, which kind of stopped any of the which stopped the monitor from being placed correctly. So I just shortened the top of the desk and just made the counter a little bit shorter for the customer and a little bit bigger for the receptionist to put her materials there, to put any of the office stuff that is required over here. And because everything is in circles, everything is in lines, erasing everything is kind of difficult. So that is one of the hugest lessons that I've learned. Don't make everything in circles. Over here I'm just making sure that I could use a different model to make it look a bit better, but then I realized that the one that I have fit perfectly, so I just left it. And this is again me constructing a counter for the facial area, because it's simpler just to make it myself rather than having to look online just for the model. Right now I'm just making sure that the top of the counter that I have for the facial area, their top is different from the bottom of the counter or the shelf, whatever you might want to call it. So when I paint the top, it's gonna be different from the bottom area. So the bottom wood would be wood, the top would be granite or plastic or acrylic, whatever I want. it would be a different material than the base. And for the kitchen counter, I'm doing the same thing, just making sure that each of them are different. As you can see, this is a very slight color difference, which is hard to notice. That why I had to keep on making sure that each uh, color is different using the code. Even though the original plan that I had did not have water dispensers in it, I knew that dispensers are one of the key equipment or the machinery that you have uh, in any office or any other working space area, because everybody drinks water. So when I was downloading this models, I realized that I was missing this, so just I imported it very quickly. Over here, I designed the table upside down just to make sure that the legs were placed correctly, and I just moved the top of the desk above and erased the bottom panel. Just made designing the whole table a little simpler and a bit easier. And right now I'm just constructing the file cabinet for the office. At the bottom it's gonna be doors to put in files, and the top of the area would be where open files which are either not needed or needed daily would be just put in place, just to have a quick access. In it I made about 4 drawers, I believe, which would have different kind of items. It doesn't specifically need to be files, it could be any office equipment as well which is needed. Over here, as you can see, I'm kind of redoing it again and again because for some reason SketchUp decided the back of the panel was not needed. It kept erasing it, so I constructed it myself after putting in uh, removing the area that I needed for the shelves. And rather than having each door, I just put it. I placed a full panel on it to make closing and securing the area much more easier. The reason why I colored the toilet as well is because of the same reason, because if I leave it white, the 5D render software will recognize it as white, and when I color anything which is colored white, it would color everything at the same with the same material. So even the shower that I have, I colored it differently, separately from the toilet, just to make sure that it would be a different material, so it won't collide with any other pattern that I have or color palette that I have. As you can see here that I found a much better water dispenser later on when I was doing it. I was looking up different models that I just removed the one that I had before, which wasn't bad, but I didn't like it. And this was a little bit more detailed, so I just imported this one. As you can see here, in the original plan, there were a lot more sofas in placed over here, but when I imported this model, I realized that the plan was a little bit wrong. The sizes did not match up, so using my own judgment, I just rescaled the whole sofa and made sure it looked better. Over here, originally in the plan, there were also two tables for the sofas, but the design didn't match and the structure didn't match. So I took a table from a different area and just made sure that it looked better. As you can see, I used a living room table just for the waiting area, and as it looked better. This is one of the points that I realized that the bathroom that I had constructed wasn't as it could better, because originally I designed it for the sink to be on the counter, but when modeling I realized that I couldn't actually cut it down because this model that I'm using is more curved and has more like details and goes up and down, and the counter that I have, I couldn't actually cut it down to an oval shape or design of the sink. So I kind of struggled over here a bit. I was trying to cut the counter so the sink would fit in, but after a couple of times I was thinking, designing it again and again, trying to cut it. It didn't seem well, so I got a different sink and I just imported it. And it was huge, so I had to rescale it down to a normal sink size. Even at this point, I realized that I was making a big mistake, was trying to put the sink inside of it. So it messed up the whole design a lot, because I was trying to cut the counter to fit in the sink, but later on I realized that rather than having the sink placed into it, I could place it over. That would match the design much more better, and that is how the sink was supposed to be placed originally, as you will see later on. Right now I was trying to just import the sink into the layer of the counter, so it would make it a little more easier to cut down, but that didn't work because it was very hard and it was busting my computer's butt. Right now, as you can see that there's a lip for the sink and the counter, so I just moved the counter a bit further up so you won't see the counter seeping through the sink, and I believe that it looked better like this, because I've seen sinks placed over the counter, just a small cutout for the pipe and just placing the sink on top of it and fixing it with either cement or glue or silicone or different bonding material. And by this point of me trying to import any of the materials that I had or any of the models, it was really hard because I already had tons of material on my original file, the salon file, so it made everything so much harder because it was quite heavy. So moving any of the models was difficult, restructuring it was difficult, moving the camera kind of slowed everything down, and it crashed a bunch of times. Oh, I'm glad that it didn't break anything. It auto saved it. I didn't have to redo it again and again. Just a small changes need to be made it, so it would look exactly like I did before it was crashing. So this was one of the most difficult points, and because I already had a ton of models at the background for it to be imported into this file, it made everything hard. And for some reason SketchUp didn't want to import this hairdryer that I had, and I kept trying to copy pasting, trying to import it. It didn't work. And I'm just right now decorating the shelves for different areas, making sure the facials area has its own bottles, the shampoo area has its own bottles, its own material, so it would look good. This is just me making sure that each area has its own material, and when I'm rendering it looks good. I also found this this machinery, which is a hair dryer, I believe, which uses infrared rather than blowing hot air onto the material, which was a little bit more easier and took a little less space. So I just imported this model into it rather than having the whole big lamp shade kind of thing that you saw before, which is already placed in the washing area. At this point I was really tired and was just trying to make sure that each area had its own stuff. I didn't really care because the software kept crashing, it was really slow, it just kept me frustrated. So I was just trying to put in as much stuff as possible so it won't crash, and I could just rearrange everything to cut out to close any background materials, any background softwares that are already open. As you can see, I'm just putting in more materials, more models, just to make it more realistic when I'm doing the rendering, so it won't be just empty areas and it will actually look like an actual working space. I took a break after a little while just because my computer was burning up, and I tried to go online on SketchUp Warehouse, and I found this beautiful model for this salon, which had a ton of colors, towels. Basically, was a perfect sample that that I needed, just to make my model a little bit more realistic. So I just downloaded the whole area and then placed it just in my model, which kind of gave it a little bit more life. As you can see, before it was kind of empty, and now it's gonna be a little bit heavier, where the colors and the washing would be done for here. Now it kind of looks like more of a working space rather than an empty back area with just a sink, hair washing sink, and just bottles placed randomly. And at this point, I'm just gonna remove these bottles that I didn't originally like. I just placed it because it was frustrating me, and because I now found a better model, I'm gonna be using that. And in the next video, I'm just gonna be using import. I'm just gonna import this whole model that I have into the 5D render software, and finally begin using the rendering software. So do look for that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.